Welcome to A Pair of Bookends, the book club you can carry anywhere. I'm your host, Hannah MacDonald, and I'll be bookending the conversation with some of the most exciting voices from the bookish world. Welcome to another episode in our debut Spotlight series, where we shine a light on the freshest authors and their work. Today, that spotlight is on Malika Nekhla and her debut novel, Hold On To Your Heart, which is out now. Hold On To Your Heart is perfect for fans of One Day and Normal People. You all know how much I love a complicated love story, and this one is no different. It's a story of love and yearning, of finding your place in the world. It's about the choices we make and the consequences we must face. The link to grab yourselves a copy is in the show notes. Author of Hold On To Your Heart, Malika Nekhla, joins me today. She is a Belgian-Algerian author that has lived in Dublin and London. According to Malika, she has a deep love of the sea, but unfortunately lives nowhere near the coast, so she uses writing as a coping mechanism. Malika says, like the characters in her novel, she has struggled with societal expectations and loss, but if it has taught her anything, it's that you should always be true to yourself and follow your dreams. Welcome, Malika, to A Pair of Bookends.
Thank you. Hi, nice to meet you.
It's so lovely to meet you properly. I mean, we've chatted on Instagram and it always feels like I know somebody when I've chatted to them about books. But of course, this is the first official time we are chatting. I'm so excited to have you. Now, before we dive into your book, I do always love to open by asking what you're currently reading. So could you tell us?
Actually, I just finished reading Cover Story by Vari McFarlane.
Amazing.
She's one of my writing heroes. She's just, I think, rom-com wise, she's the greatest of them all. She writes such witty, strong female characters, and I struggle with romance most of the time, but never with her books.
Never
So,
with her.
yeah.
My friend Emma is such a big fan of her, and I've not read any of her work yet, and she's like, "How?"
Yeah, how? Like honestly, she's so underhyped. You see Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry everywhere,
Yes.
but like Vari is better than that.
I've heard this. Yeah, I really, really need to get to her books. And every time I go around to my friends, I see her on my friend's bookshelf, and I'm like, would she notice if I just
Yeah, probably
took
not.
this home with me? But let's get into you. I would love to start by asking you about your journey as a debut author. I believe you're self-published, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Amazing. I'd love to hear about why you chose that route and how that journey's been for you.
Honestly, I chose it because I couldn't find an agent. I started writing in 2020 and then started querying, like really querying in 2023, I think. And I got a bit of luck with some agents. They wanted the full manuscript, but then they thought it wasn't like commercial enough.
Wow,
So
okay.
I rewrote it then twice. And then the last one is the one you've read. But still, then they were like, it's great, but I don't think it's gonna get through this very competitive market.
Oh,
So I was really gutted for a while and like ready to give up. But then I was like, oh, I spent so many years on this and I really love my characters. So I was like, I don't care. I'm just gonna give it away for free or whatever. I'm just gonna put it out there. And that's how I decided to self-publish, which has been a steep learning curve.
amazing. And I mean, with self-publishing, you're essentially your own team.
Yeah,
So what has that been like? Has it been quite difficult at times? Have you enjoyed it? A bit of both?
quite difficult,
Quite difficult.
especially being in Belgium.
Yeah.
Um, all the information you find online is for UK authors or US authors, and then everything is much more straightforward because the books are printed either in the UK or the US. But to have them shipped to Belgium and distributed to Belgian shops or anywhere, like there's Brexit and there's taxes and there's it's just incredibly complicated. But it's been rewarding as well because I'm just so happy it's out there. I found a great editor in Daisy Watt, and she just read through it. She made it like she erased all tiny errors, which was very much a comfort to me, like knowing at
Yeah.
least that someone had read it with a professional knowledge. So yeah, that's been fun. And then now like marketing on Instagram and all that has been fun too, but quite exhausting. Like you have to be
Yeah.
on all the time.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I think you're trying to you're in a race against the algorithm at
Yeah.
times, and that can be really difficult. I've definitely found that with the podcast Instagram. It's that, if you don't post at a certain time of day, if you're not using like trending music for your posts, if it can be a number of ridiculous reasons why your posts don't reach people, and it's such a shame because I started out doing a book Instagram before I had the podcast, and I'd blog about different books, and I never had this issue. I used to get like 200 likes on a post easily, no problem. And then, the algorithm changed, and now it's like sometimes you can only get like 10 likes on a post, and you're like, how? Like 5 likes? You're like, how is this missing people? I have way more followers than 10.
Yeah. It's horrible.
It's
They're really
horrible.
messing with us. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I would love if you could tell the listeners a little bit about Hold On to Your Heart. Now, before you do, I just want to say how much I love this book. And I did make those comparisons, and I'm not sure how you feel about those comparisons. I know that one day features in the book, so I feel like that might be a comparison that you're happy with. But I don't know how those agents were coming back to you and saying that this wasn't commercial enough, because to me, it felt like so many of those incredible commercial love stories that we see. It's a beautiful story, and I think you tell it so well. But yeah, I'd love to hear for the listeners what Hold On to Your Heart is about in your words.
Thank you so much. First of all, David Nichols is my ultimate hero.
Oh, he's amazing.
I love him. I love his online presence. I love his books. He's just like a genius.
He
So
is.
that to me is like everything. And Sally Rooney, I mean, whoa. Honestly, she's just insanely genius. I love them both. And actually, I always comped it kind of as a book in between One Day and Normal People, because it's not as heavy as Normal People,
It's not,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
not as funny as One Day. So I always thought it was like somewhere in the middle
Yes.
of those two. So I'm really, really chuffed you said that. And then, yeah, the book, it's about Olivia mostly. It's dual POV, Olivia and Eamon's. But I think like the most important POV is Olivia's. She's 38 at the start of the book, and she's about to move to Canada with her boyfriend, Graham. They've been together 5 years, and they're going to start a nonprofit for underprivileged teens in Canada because he's from there. They're not married, they don't have kids, they don't own property, so they're like just going out. But Olivia's mom is very much like, you're 38, you need kids, you need a house, you need to get married. Like, what are you doing with your, like so many people in the current society, even. And she's very, like, Olivia's never really known for sure what she wants to be. She's a professional photographer, but she still kind of doubts whether or not that's a proper job,
Mm-hmm.
So she's a bit concerned. So she heads to the bookshop, her favorite bookshop that is owned by her two friends. And when she arrives there, there's an event going on, and this man is reading from his debut novel, Wild Waves. And that man happens to be the first love of her life, Eamon Murphy, the Irish, gorgeous man she met 14 years earlier, 15 years earlier in Ballybridge, which is a fictional Irish seaside town. And then the book tells their love story basically, but she thinks that he broke her heart and he thinks she broke his heart. So along the way, we find out what happened between them through the chapters in his book. And then we find out if they get a second chance at love or if Olivia's going to go to Canada with Graham.
I would love to start by asking about the setting of the book, because as you just said, part of the book is set in Ballybridge, which is this fictional Irish seaside town. I fell for it and thought it was a real place. I mean, it sounds beautiful. I would go there. It's set between there, and it's also set in Dublin and London, which are places that you've lived yourself. Could you tell us a bit about, creating this fictional seaside town, and also what you love about Dublin and London, what you loved so much about them that you wanted to represent them on the page?
I love London more than any place in the world. I travel there at least 3, 4 times a year if I can more. I've been there millions of times. It's just, I don't know, when I'm there, I feel there's like this electricity in the air.
Mm.
Like it's like electric with possibilities, is what I
Yes,
always say. And like you never know what's going to happen in London. And there's so much culture and theater and music. It's just, for me, honestly, the best place I've ever been and probably will ever go. But I could only live there for 6 months because of Brexit, which is the worst thing to ever
it is.
happen.
It is. Agreed.
Probably worse things, but still, really didn't help me much. So then, when I was in London, I moved to Dublin because it was my next best option, and I absolutely love Dublin. I love Ireland. The Irish are, like, I think the nicest humans in the world. They're just so warm and welcoming, and I really wanted to put that in the book because Olivia, she's lived in London her whole
Mhm.
life and she loves it, but it is busy and like it's never off, and it's hard to meet people, to just like have this warm small community feel. And I think that's why she feels so happy when she goes to Ballybridge to live with her sister for a while. And yeah, I just really wanted that in there. I've always felt really at home in Dublin. If they had better healthcare, I would still be there, but unfortunately they don't. So I have to come back to Belgium. But
I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful city,
yeah,
and I think you're so right about London in the sense of, the electricity in the air. There's such a different pace and energy to that place. But I mean, with Dublin, Irish people are just incredible people, and also their humour. There's just nothing like it.
no, it's so dry. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, you just said that she goes to live with, Olivia goes to live with her sister, which is how she comes to meet Eamon. And I'd love to know a little bit about diving into that sister dynamic. I'm really careful with these episodes not to give any spoilers, so it's quite we have to tread carefully. But yeah, I'd love to hear about exploring that sister dynamic because I've said so many times on the podcast that I love reading about sister dynamics. I think it is one of my favourite dynamics to read about, and I think their relationship is really special. I think all the relationships with women in this book are really special as well. There is her friendship with, it's Orla in the book, isn't it? But it's,
Erin.
well, Erin, that's the
Yeah.
one. Okay. It's like, which
I
name?
know with names, it's very confusing. It was so
But I think the women in this book are so special. But yeah, I'd love to dive in to the inspiration behind that sister dynamic.
So I have an older sister, and she's 13 years older than I am, and she has 4 kids. And I've always, like, when I was young, she wasn't living at home anymore because she was in student housing, and then she moved out like after university. But then when she had kids, like her first kid was born when I was 15, and I really feel super close to them. They're my siblings, but also my kids in a way. It's very weird. But yeah, so I really love that dynamic for Olivia and Anna as well. It's like someone who knows you better than anyone, I think. And I think it's clear Olivia needs someone who knows her better than she thinks she knows herself.
Yeah, and I
Love
think
that dynamic.
13 years is such a big age
It
gap.
is. It is.
I have my youngest sister is, I think I'm 15 years older than her. Yeah. Yeah, I am. I am 15 years older than her, which is it's such a drastic age gap, and seeing how different we are and how different she is as a 15-year-old to how I was and what life was like when I was that age. It's just such a weird thing to kind of grapple with. I mean, I'm the oldest sister, so I feel like older sisters get a bit of a bad rep, but but I'll take it. I'll take it. But you're so right. It's a weird sort of dynamic because sometimes I feel like I'm another parent to them, and yeah, it's a strange one. I found that the decisions that her older sister was making for her were kind of questionable, but it was like she was trying to look out for her. I think I've managed to tread around that without giving any
Yeah,
spoilers. I want to ask you about the real sort of jumping off point in this book is, as you said, when she walks into this bookshop and finds that the author doing this event is her ex. I would love to know how you would feel if you walked into a bookshop and found your ex reading a book and listening into said reading were like, this story sounds all too familiar. Are you staying around and listening? Are you running?
I would, I think I would run. Honestly, I tried to put myself in her place when I was writing that, and then I thought like I would feel just as nauseous as she feels, and then just take off as well, especially because she thinks like he was to blame for what happened, and then having him write a book about it's like a criminal confessing that they committed a murder without ever having been under suspicion, you know.
Yes.
Like why would you
Why
even
would you do that?
do that? So yeah, I think I would run. That would be my initial reaction, but then I might just run back and then confront him. Like, what the fuck? What are you doing?
Fair, fair. I think I am so nosy that I would kind of want to stick around and be like, "What are you?" If I heard something that was a bit too familiar, I'd be like, "Sorry, like what's what's this?" And then as soon as they're finished, I'm gone. You're
Yeah,
not seeing me for dust.
yeah. Makes sense. People ask me actually, like, why doesn't she just read the final chapters of his book? I'm like, obviously because I wouldn't have a book. But also she's just afraid to find out what actually happened. Like, is there something more to it? Like, why would he do it? And like so much has happened between them. I think it's just very scary, especially at this point in time when she's about to move to Canada and it could ruin everything.
Yeah, and I mean, in real life, people make bad choices and they do stupid things.
Oh,
Me and my boyfriend are watching a series at the moment. We're watching The Split. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't.
It's really good. It's about a family of divorce lawyers, and then it's about the own sort of relationships in their lives and the bad choices they make and the betrayals and the affairs and the splits that happen in their own relationships. So it's really, really good. But the choices
Oh,
they make, you're like practically screaming at the screen at times. And I love stories like that where you're like, why on earth are you making these stupid
yeah,
decisions? And then you're like, well, people do.
yeah.
People
Humans
do make.
probably too. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just how we function.
it is. It is. We make stupid. It's what makes us human. We sometimes make good choices, but more often than not, we're doing stupid things. I love it. Now, this bookshop setting, I love reading about bookshops because I think for most readers, it's the place that we feel very safe. We get very excited. There's a lot of joy that happens in those places. And, I think there's something that brings me so much peace just walking around a bookshop and picking books off the shelves. And I love that before she goes into this bookshop, she's having a conversation, I think it's with her sister. And she basically says, it's a small inconvenience that's happened. And she's like, I think I deserve a book
Yeah,
after going through this. And I'm like, we've all said that. We've all done that.
we all deserve it.
I thought that resonated so much. But I'd love to know what your favorite bookshop is.
Ooh, that's a good question. I love Hodges Figgis in Dublin. I think that one is stunning, and it's just huge, so warm. The environment,
Hmm.
I really love that place. I used to hang out there all the time when
Oh,
I
I
was
love
in
that.
Dublin. I was always there. Yeah, and then here in Belgium, we don't have too many independent bookshops anymore. There's one great one here in the town where I'm living called De Zondvloed, which is a lovely one, and they have my book even in the window at the
I
moment. So
love
I'm really
that.
happy with that. Yeah. Yeah, I just love all bookshops. I love the big Waterstones and big foils in
The
London.
big foils in London, I have to go every time.
Same. And then just sit upstairs in the cafe. Just like love that. But basically, London. Every time I go, I visit all the bookshops. So
I
I,
love that.
I just do a tour, like all of them.
Have you ever been to Book Bar in
Yeah,
London?
I love that. Oh, it's so cozy. Oh,
It's
and
so, so
there,
good.
have like your drink. Oh, it's just really lovely. Yeah.
I love the coffee there, and I've yet to try the wine, so I feel like I need to go back and
Same.
have the
I
wine
haven't
there.
had the wine there. Yeah, I just had a coffee there when I was there. Oh, it's just lovely.
It's gorgeous. I love it so much.
Definitely.
Now, this book is essentially a book within a book,
Mm.
which I think is such an ambitious choice, and you pull it off really well. But how did you go about creating a sort of separate writer's voice to your own? Did you have any other authors in mind when you were trying to, imitate Eamon's voice, or is it just your own, but you've tried to, give a slightly different style? Yeah, I'd love to hear what that process was like.
I'm going to be really honest. I didn't really put that much thought into it.
Oh, really?
I wrote this, like my initial story was just chronologically telling the story when Olivia arrives in Ireland and then she meets Eamon, and then it goes on just chronologically. There was no current timeline, so they were 25, 23 the whole time, and then got a bit older, and then there was a wedding at the end, and that's where they met again. But
Right.
that was not commercial enough, and I needed a new structure. So that's when I decided to skip like all the in between time and then fast forward to 2025 where she's about to move to Canada. So I just wrote that extra while trying to fit in the bits that I had already written
Okay.
and make that his book, because I thought it was maybe a bit of a long shot to have him write her POV and people thinking that was actually what had happened, but actually he wrote it. So how does he know how she felt about him? And so I had to really work on explaining that a lot in my current timeline, that he got all his information from Erin and that it was just his interpretation of how she must have felt, but some things are probably not entirely how they happened.
Hmm.
So it's a bit of an unreliable narrator in ways. But yeah, it was basically just trying to figure out how to pour this into a new structure.
But I mean, we all love an unreliable narrator, and it's such a popular thing now in contemporary fiction. And I've spoken to a few authors now where they've said that most narrators are unreliable anyway. So how can we trust what they're saying?
That's very true.
Yeah, but I think it really works. It really works. I loved going between the chapters. I mean, it added a different pace to my reading of the book because I was like, I want to know what's going
Yeah.
on. I want to know.
Oh, that's good.
I was so eager to find out what had happened between them. Now, I want to ask you about Olivia. You mentioned before that she is a professional photographer, and there's a conversation that she has with these women that own this art centre, and they host this exhibition space, and she goes to them with the photos she's taken, and they have this conversation where she goes, "Oh, I'd love to show my photos here. I'm an aspiring photographer," and they're like, "Ah, don't use that word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Own it. Own
Amateur,
it.
yeah. She says amateur photographer, and then
Amateur, sorry, yes.
really angry about that.
It's what creatives do, but it's mainly what female
Yeah.
like women. It's what women do.
Yeah.
We kind of apologize for our existence before
That's
before we do anything else.
yeah. That's it. I like the Amira relationship was important to me as well because she's kind of a mentor for Olivia.
Mm,
In other versions of the book, she had a bigger role where she was really like trying to give Olivia the confidence she needed. But yeah, she's just like, no, don't say amateur. Like, do you take photographs? Do you love it? Do you think about it every day? That means you're a photographer. That's it. Like,
yeah.
don't say amateur. And then she's like, yeah, but I don't make any money of it. I'm not like professional. And she's like, doesn't matter. You're just a photographer. Just stop underselling yourself like that. And I think that's such an important message for all women, especially young women out there. It's just like, don't, like, you can do it. Like, it doesn't matter. You can say you're an actual writer or a photographer or a painter or whatever it is that you want to be. If you do it, then you are.
Yeah, we love to undersell ourselves.
Yeah, it's
It's
really hard.
horrible. So I think we all need an Amira in our lives. I think she's a brilliant character, and like you said, it took Olivia a while to kind of come round to the idea of seeing herself in that light. And I think a lot of that comes from maybe her upbringing, her relationship with her mum. Her mum doesn't really support this kind of unconventional lifestyle. I think her mum's own fears sort of project onto her daughter, and she kind of makes Olivia question the choices that she makes in this sort of unconventional life that she wants to have. I'd love to ask what drew you to exploring this sort of societal pressures and expectations that Olivia's facing?
I've struggled with those so much my whole life. I studied journalism and graduated in 2008, but then like I didn't really do anything with that, and I ended up doing all these admin jobs that made me so miserable, like so deeply, deeply miserable. And I I had to make money because then people were like, you need to buy a house. So I bought a house in 2013. And then that just like weighed so heavily on me, all the costs. And like when there was like a storm outside, I'd be worried that something would break or a window, I don't know, or there would be a leak. And then I would have to pay for it. And I couldn't travel anymore. I couldn't do what I wanted. And I was just like super, super miserable all the time.
Hmm.
And I got into a burnout then. And I was home for 2 years. And then afterwards, I started working in a bookshop, which made so much less money. Like it was really sad, but I didn't care anymore. And then eventually I sold my house because I was just not happy. And now I'm renting. But yeah, I think you need to do what feels right for you and stop thinking that what everyone else is doing is the only right path. Like there's a lot of people saying like I need to get my shit together, but there's no such thing as getting, like, what does that even mean? Does that
Hmm.
mean you have to get married and have babies? Is that having your shit together? It's not. It's just being happy basically, and that's different for everyone. I used to want to be a singer, and like I still love that, but my mom was always like, you need to go to school, get a proper degree, and then you'll have a great job and everything will be fine, and then you can do whatever you want afterwards. But you never do, because you get sucked into the societal spiral of misery.
It's so true. And I really loved what Eamon said to Olivia, but I think this was told in the context of the book, but we know that it's a conversation that they would have had. That, he says to her when she's kind of questioning that, oh, I can't possibly try and make a career out of photography. I have to go down a normal, whatever that might mean, path, and I need to make money, and it's a safety blanket that she's reaching towards almost. And he's like, why do people do this? They just want to do something that makes them more money, but then once they get to the point that they think is right, it's just trying to reach further and further. It's fancier cars or it's fancier houses, and it's not something that's going to make them happy ultimately. It's just what society tells you need. And I think, it's capitalism.
And
Essentially, it's capitalism, but it is everyone projecting their fears onto each other. Essentially, no amount of money is going to make us happy if we're not doing what we love. If maybe we're doing what we love and we're making that money doing that, then fine. But great. I'd
oh,
love to be doing that. I really loved that they had those conversations. Now, I think we should speak about Eamon. I loved his character, and yes, he made stupid choices at times, but I did think he was a great character, and I can totally see how she ended up falling for somebody like him. He is a big swimmer, which I know you are a big fan of the sea, as I said in my intro, and he can often be found going for a swim. I think it helps him to deal with a lot of the sort of hardships he's faced in his life. So why did you want to combine your love of the sea with Eamon's character?
I think like I even have like an ocean tattoo here. I love the ocean so much. It calms me down. I think Eamon and I, without spoiling anything, have had a similar trajectory. Whereas I'm also a big dreamer, but then like things had happened and they made me kind of not take action on the things I actually was dreaming about. So like
Hmm.
the fear was holding me back. And I do, when I get to the ocean, it's like everything melts away. and you just like calm down completely, especially like all water basically, but the ocean is just so gigantic and deep, and we have no idea what's going on under the surface. And I
Hmm.
feel that's like a great metaphor of who I am. Like people always think I'm super chill and relaxed and confident, and nothing of the sort is true. So I feel like I am that ocean, and that Eamon is that too. Like he's always dreaming, but like there's so much going on underneath that he needs to sort through before he can actually like be who he wants to be
Yeah.
and stand up for the things he actually believes in. So yeah, I love the ocean. I follow Claire Daverly on
Yes.
Instagram too, and she always has like the greatest pictures of the ocean and where she goes swimming, and it's just like, oh, I want to live where she lives. Like that is my
Oh my
dream.
God, it's the most beautiful
Oh,
setting.
gorgeous.
Her writing spot, I'm just unbelievably jealous of.
Yeah, same. And it shows in her writing as well. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, she's a beautiful writer. She really is. I would love to get into the fact that this story is essentially a one that got away story. And I don't think that's a spoiler to say because we kind of know that from the start that this is what's happened between them. And I honestly think it is one of my favourite kinds of stories. I think it's, you know, with One Day and with Normal People, it's sort of the same sort of theme in that. What inspires you to go down that route? And I know we've mentioned those two books, but were there any particular inspirations that you took from different books, films, TV shows?
Yeah. I love bittersweet love stories. I'm not great with happily ever after because
Yeah.
life doesn't work like that. So I like La La Land is one of my favorite films
Such a beautiful film.
ever. And then like the ending is just, oh, every every time I still hope they end up together
Yes.
every single time I watch it, but then they don't. Yeah, and but those are the stories that stick with you.
Hmm.
It's like Fleabag as well.
Yes.
Hot Priest and her, like it's so sad, but that's why it sticks with you. So
Hmm.
those are things I really love. I love reading stories like that, even though I'm like I get angry and I cry so
Yeah.
much. But still, those are the ones that stick. You know? Yeah, I just love being miserable. And maybe I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to love, but I also just love the yearning in it
Yes.
because you know you can't have back what you once had, and it's just something that stays with you, I think.
I mean, yearning is a tale as old as time, isn't it? We see that in a lot of the classic love stories. But I think, yeah, it's something that we're all drawn towards and it's very true to life. So, yeah, I am also a fan of making myself miserable. Now, kind of leading on from that, at Eamon's reading, someone in the audience asked him who would play the characters if there was an adaptation of his book. And I'd love to flip that onto you. I know you're a big fan of Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield.
Don't get me started.
So, is it them that you would want in there, or have you got other people that would be your dream cast?
Surprisingly, it's not them.
Ooh,
I know, it's so weird. He says Amy Fionn Edwards for Olivia, well, for Ava, but I agree with that because I love her so much.
Amy Fionn Edwards. I need to look
She's
at who this.
Esme in Peaky Blinders, and she's in Slow
Yes,
Horses.
sorry, yes.
Yeah, I absolutely adore her. She's just like gorgeous, and she has like character. She's so feisty.
Mm.
Love that about her. So yeah, her, and then Sam Claflin as Eamon, but like old Sam Claflin, not him. No, I don't want to be rude about it, but love Rosie Sam Claflin.
Yes, okay.
Inspiration for young Eamon, but also a little bit Anthony Boyle, who I also really like in Dairy Girls. He's got this like tiny cameo there, so I love him. I just have so many options. I actually made a post on Instagram with my cast.
I haven't, have I seen this?
It's on my grid. It's pinned on my grid. So Graham would be O.T. Fagbenle from The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh my God, yes! Yes, I can totally see that. I can
Right?
absolutely see that.
And then Nicola Coughlan as Erin, because she's badass.
So good.
And then Aidan Turner as Ben, basically.
I
Um,
love him.
and I need him to keep the mustache because I love him.
The mustache.
It's just so hot.
Oh gosh.
So
Him
yeah,
in Riders. Is it Riders? It's Riders, isn't it?
I saw him in the
Is that the Jilly
Rivals.
Rivals, not Riders? There is another Jilly Cooper book I think called Riders, but yeah, the Rivals, so good. That is an excellent cast.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can.
I put a lot of thought into it. I really want Netflix to.
They need to. They need to see this. This needs to happen. I'm ready. I'm ready, and I'm sat in front of my TV waiting for this to come on. So why do you thank Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone in your acknowledgements?
Honestly, they are such an inspiration to me. Just separately as actors, they're my favorite actors of all time.
They're incredible.
Emma Stone's range is insane. Like,
Mm,
I want to see Bugonia as soon as possible. She's just so good. She's good at humor, but also like really serious stuff.
yeah.
And as a like when she's interviewed, I just love her humor. She's very sarcastic too, and just like an all-around lovely person, I think. And Andrew Garfield is the love of my life. I don't know how he's just he the way he speaks about emotions, and he's so openly vulnerable.
Mm,
I don't know him as a person, so like there's probably a lot more going on there, but still the way he talked about his mom passing away
oh my
and
God.
just everything, and his the roles he takes on, and he just seems like such a lovely guy. I Yeah, and then the relationship they had. I know it's over, and I need to get over it too. That it's over, but they were just so great together, and the fact that they're actually still friends. That is also part of my inspiration, like the yearning.
Mm.
I'm like, how can you be friends and like close friends after having been together for all those years? And like, why aren't you together? I don't get it. But that's part of the beauty, I think, of it. Yeah, I just
Yeah, they're both amazing, and I agree. The interview that he gave, when I mean, he said it in multiple interviews because of the film that he did with Florence Pugh. They talk a lot about grief, and I think you're so right. He's so openly vulnerable, and I think that's a really special thing. Yeah, he's a beautiful performer, and I love Emma Stone. I've still not watched, is it Kinds of Kindness? I've not watched that one yet.
insane.
Really?
It's just, if you think Poor Things was weird and The Favorite was weird, then go watch Kinds of Kindness.
Okay.
I was like, what is what is
I
this?
loved Poor Things. I think it was
Oh,
my favorite film of last year. I loved it.
yeah,
Yeah, so good.
genius, genius.
Lastly, before I ask for your recommendation, Malika, I would love to know what is next for you.
I'm currently working on my second novel, which might be a bit more rom-commy than the first one, but will also have similar themes, I think. Motherhood being one of them, and then, yeah, societal expectations a little, but maybe less. When I explain my concept to my friends who are writers too, they're like, that does not sound like a rom com. That sounds really like a drama. I'm like, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I want.
We'll see how that goes. And I really want to try and find an agent with that one. So we'll see how that goes.
Amazing.
Need to plow on.
Well, I will keep everything crossed for you. And yeah, I really hope that you do find an agent, but I also can't wait for the second book. Hopefully, we can have you back to chat about that one. And then you'll have an agent and
Imagine.
manifesting. We're manifesting. Lastly, is there anything that you would like to recommend to the listeners today?
I would always recommend everything that David Nichols has written,
Yeah,
everything that Barry McFarlane has written. And then also Lily King. I just read her latest novel, Heart the Lover.
I've got it on my shelf.
I got an arc of that, and it was just, oh, she's so good. Like, I love Writers and Lovers, which is also a comp I
So
use
good.
for my book. And it's just, if you love that one, you have to read Heart the Lover, because she's just a brilliant writer. And there's so many sad things, but also beautiful things in that novel. Yeah, just highly, highly recommend.
Oh, I'm so excited to read that now. I've got it on my TBR pile, so I'll be getting to that next. So thank you so much for those recommendations. I've absolutely loved chatting to you today, Malika. I can't believe this is your first podcast. I feel completely honoured that you've chosen to come on, and I absolutely loved your book. So for our listeners, Hold On To Your Heart is out now. As I said before, I'll be popping a link in the show notes to grab yourselves a copy. Where can the listeners find you online, Malika?
I'm on Instagram at Malika N Writes, and on Threads, but I don't do much over there. And I quit all the other socials because it was too much work.
That's
I
so
have a
fair.
website as well, which is malikanekla.com.
Amazing. And links to those will also be in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, listeners, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And if you want to give us a follow, you can do so at A Pair of Bookends Pod on Instagram and at A Pair of Bookends on Twitter and TikTok. That is all we've got time for. So thank you so much again, Malika. I've absolutely loved this.
Oh, this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for listening. Goodbye.